Hi everybody, welcome to our Saturday morning. Not sure what you did on Friday night, but hope it was fun. And here we are at, it's the third day of the long weekend, but it's the fourth day. Yes, the third day of the long weekend, but it's the first day of the weekend. So if you're in Thailand, we've had 2 days off already. Thursday was Coronation Day. And then yesterday was just a public holiday as determined by the Royal Thai government. So it's been, quite busy here on the island of Phuket and in a lot of other sort of tourist zones around the country. Just adjusting all the things I need to do here. But welcome to everybody. Let's just sort of see who you all are. We've got John D from Melbourne. We've got Hans, of course, from beautiful Redwood City, California. Was once, all having your own conversations. Good morning from Berlin, that's from Alpha Bravo. And these are all the regulars, and great to have you back, of course. Scott D says, tired and extremely sleepy this Friday evening in Chicago after a long work week. The weather was awesome today with comfortable temperatures and sunny skies, but I bet it's not 32 degrees and sunny. There you go. And Scott says it was 77 Fahrenheit, which is a nice temperature, by the way. Yeah, I mean, it's always hot here. People say, oh, do you miss the cold? Well, I don't, but I think 77 Fahrenheit would be very, very pleasant. And we've also got Coco's Short Clips, who's got a question. I'll get to that in just a moment. And somebody's saying, I've got a very large duck. Yes, that's the duck for the pool out the back. And everybody seems to love that duck. So great to have you with us. I'll get to this question from Coco's, an interesting question out of the blue. Phuket Immigration Office asked for a Shanot land title to the foreign renter for 1 year visa extension. Is this a one-off time shakedown, or will it be another hassle for us? If you get an extension, usually they want some proof that you're staying here, so they'll probably want to see your lease, like a physical copy of your lease, and that would include the ID of the owner and their blue book, which sort of denotes the type of title, which is a Chinot title, which is basically a land title. So I don't think there's anything untoward. I mean, some immigration officers will just check more than others. So I mean, don't freak out about it. It may not happen the next time, but they're well entitled to check your lease for the place you're staying in, and if so, they'll probably need to see the ID of the owner and the blue book, which denotes the title. That's roughly the answer. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. There has been demonstrably more checking, more crossing the T's and dotting the I's by immigration officials over the past 6 months particularly. The rules haven't changed. They're just being a little bit more detailed about checking everything. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Coco's Short Clips. Hopefully that answers your question. No, it's nothing to worry about. Just contact your owner. They probably are aware, and they'd have those documents readily available. Every time I do renew my visa, I usually have to provide that information. So I only had to do it about a month ago. So I just contacted my owner, and I think she's got about 20 copies just sitting on her refrigerator. We'll be talking about refrigerators in just a moment too. Good evening from the desert Southwest Phoenix, Arizona. Blues Trekker, quite a few people from the US. Wayne Batson, morning all, glorious day in Chumpare, but will be bloody hot later. Nice background floral arrangement. Well, yes, these are just the props that I throw around. This, I'm sort of set on this great big table, a table which is from Victorian, what do they call this? Hardwood, I think you just call it, from the forests of Victoria in Australia, the state that I come from. And it takes about 4 people to lift it. It's a huge and a very heavy table. And I couldn't leave it back in Australia. I wasn't prepared to sell it. And I just sort of tend to move around this table. On one end, I've got those IKEA bookshelves. And then I sort of move around. So here I am at the moment, just trying to make the background a little bit interesting for you each day. as I do tend to do the program mostly from my own home at the moment. A situation that may change sooner or later, but that's the current situation. Now I'm going to go through a few stories before I get to your questions. By the way, you're well entitled to load up the comment section with questions. If you hear a bit of noise in the background, that is the cleaner. She comes on Saturday mornings. She can't change it to another time. Doesn't bother me. Hope it doesn't bother you. But if there's a bit of noise and clattering and vacuum cleaners, that is the sound of a cleaner in Thailand. Frank and Rung's family ties. Tim, always a pleasure. G'day from Grey, Melbourne, says Robbie. Okay, let's go on to a few key stories today, and clicking this and clicking this. That didn't work very well. Is it going to... Hang on, everybody. We're on to another camera now. I'll see if I can re-plug that in. It's wonderful doing live. I have a look at this camera. Where are we? 1, 2, 3. Did that work? There it goes. So now plugging in the iPad, and the BBC.com reporting that COVID global health emergency is over. According to the WHO, the World Health Organization has declared that COVID-19 no longer represents a global health emergency, and I'm sure that makes a lot of you very happy. The statement represents a major step towards ending the pandemic and comes 3 years after it was first declared its highest level of alert over the virus. Remembering that it was January the 13th, 2020, that first case, the first overseas case, was identified in Thailand. And it all sort of ramped up from there, and by April and May, it was all getting very serious around the world. Here we are 3 years later. Officials said the virus death rate had dropped from a peak of more than 100,000 people per week in January 2021 to just over 3,500 on the 24th of April this year. The head of the WHO said at least 7 million people died during the pandemic, but Dr. Tedros said the true figure was likely closer to 20 million deaths, nearly 3 times the official estimates, and he warned the virus remained a significant threat. He said the worst thing that any country can do now is to use this news as a reason to let down its guard, to dismantle the system it's built, or to send the message to its people that COVID-19 is nothing to worry about. Actually, speaking to somebody just last night, a very pleasant dinner indeed, but they had COVID-19 sort of recently, and they were really, really sick. They were worried about going to a hospital because they thought they'd end up with things up the nose, and it's not quite like that these days, but there was a time where they were going to basically isolate you and quarantine you for a period of time. And when I had my bout of COVID-19, I pretty much just suffered in my bedroom with a lot of paracetamol. But I was fairly sick, and I would have gone to hospital, but I knew that if I went, I would have been quarantined. But noises from upstairs. Such was the emergency at the time. So good news that that pandemic is over. And there's nothing surer than there will be some other pandemic in the future. It's the viruses that decide these things. It's not some new world order. Oh, God, I'll get more messages again. Here we go, just with this next story. And this has been, for I don't know what reason, but has been very controversial during the week. I'll get back to your comments very, very soon. I'm sure people have got a lot to say about this. But let's go to this story, and from the Pattaya News.com. Enraged Italian man not high on marijuana but crystal meth, says Pattaya police. So initially they found quite a lot of marijuana in the person's room, and then because of his testimony that he was high on marijuana, that was what they that's what they told the media, and that's what the media published. Now, the Pattaya News is, in the realm of sort of being anti or pro the latest cannabis situation. They're sort of fairly pro, and that's okay. But they were reporting that the story, and that's where I got my information and I passed on, but they have updated it. An Italian man who hurled a refrigerator off his Pattaya hotel balcony. I can barely open the door of my refrigerator, let alone pick it up, was actually high on crystal meth, not marijuana, as he'd claimed. The 43-year-old, known as Mr. Antonio, of Italian nationality, tested positive for crystal methamphetamine at a local hospital in Pattaya. Prior to the test, the man blamed his meltdown on the balcony of the Charlie Place Hotel in Pattaya Soi Bukaw on marijuana, claiming it caused him to hallucinate that someone was attempting to harm him, and he's now facing drug and vandalisation charges. Thai media reported that the man was highly uncooperative throughout the entire legal process. He even alleged that someone put crystal meth in his water and gave it to him to drink. Police, however, are very sceptical about the man's story. So let's go through those your comments on those stories to start with. By the way, there's no limit to the things that you can discuss on this Saturday morning program. And let's just go through some of your comments. I'm sure some of them may be indeed about this particular story, or the one before about COVID-19. Hello from a very chilly and wet Seattle, says Teresa. Welcome to you. Only 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's pretty cold. I don't do 50 degrees Fahrenheit anymore. And Coco's my pleasure. Nice angle, Tim says JS in Melbourne. Well, I've sort of been using this angle most of the week, haven't I? I think I threw in the flowers, though. They're plastic. Praying for peace in Sudan, says Khalid. Well, I think we all share that with you, the latest conflict there in Sudan at the moment. Tim, I loved your special on Hellfire Pass, says Warren. Very respectful, professional and timely. Thank you. This is why we love you. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Best Warren and Caroline from Melbourne. Which suburb are you in, Warren and Caroline? I sort of worked my way around the bay. I started in Mornington, Mount Eliza, Frankston. Then I went to Richmond, had a warehouse there. Then I moved over to the other side of the river, and I was living in a lovely little town called Yarraville. I don't think it's quite the same lovely town now, but it was a sort of former industrial suburb that was in its early days of gentrification. And I had this huge 350 square metre old brick warehouse, which was next door to the local bikie gang. And that was always interesting. I'd rock up in my scooter saying, "Hi guys, can I come for a ride with you?" And they used to sort of look down their long beards demeaningly at me, basically saying no. And they never let me inside their warehouse, but they assured me there was sort of, billiard tables and what do they call those machines? Those I can't remember what you call those things. Anyway, but I'm pretty sure they were doing something else. In fact, it was about a week after I'd left for Thailand, my sister sent me a news article showing police dropping down from helicopters and landing on that place and some big raid. So I don't think it was just billiard tables and ping pong machines. No, anyway, those machines, you know the ones I mean. So thank you, Warren. Hey, Tim, how many years is a Thailand international driver's license? What are the requirements? Well, that's a good question, Mikey. I think an international driver's license is for 1 year. I don't know. But I'm going to get one because I'm intending to drive to Cambodia and through Cambodia to Vietnam. Now that's sort of in its early days of planning, but that's the idea, that I do want to do a drive from Ho Chi Minh City to Hanoi, or maybe the other way around. And to get there, I'm going to have to drive through Cambodia. And you know the car I'm going to use. So I'm just going through investigations on that at the moment. Oh, Khalid, thank you very much for your very, very kind donation. Appreciated, and I appreciate your generosity, Khalid. Thank you. In the early days of planning, but I think if I get an international driver's license, it is acknowledged for a year. Somebody may be able to tell me otherwise. That's from a Thai driver's license, an international driver's license issued in Thailand. I think that's the answer, Mikey. I'm not 100% sure. Nimble Jack, I reckon lots of people are feeling silly after being led so easily by the government. Do you think we were really? I see you're over 20,000, says Norman. Yes, nearly 21,000. and we've had a fairly good month here on TNT. So, just battling on. It's an interesting process trying to grow a YouTube channel. I mean, every day I learn something new. The YouTube community is quite a different realm to what I'm used to, but I'm learning every single day and hopefully getting a little bit better at my skills and my job. So we'll just keep it going. It's just a difficult gig to make money out of. If anybody thinks they're just going to start a YouTube channel and retire, relax, put their feet up and drink long coloured drinks with umbrellas in the top of it, lying on a beach, it's not like that at all. It's hard work. I mean, I do this 7 days a week, and I wouldn't be able to retire on what I'm making from YouTube at the moment, but something that I'm going to work on, and hopefully we've got better days ahead. So Gunja Din says g'day from Char Arm. Oh, it's disappeared. I hate it when that happens. This is just scrolling through the comment section. It sometimes disappears. G'day from Char Arm. Settled here 12 months ago. Just wish we'd stop doing that. Stuck in Victoria for 2 years during COVID. Victoria, Australia, or Victoria, Canada. So, I was in... No, it wasn't Char Arm. I was in Chumpon. I was staying at a really nice beach just north of Chumpon. I visited 2 beaches on the way back from Bangkok. And one was Chao Samran Beach in Phetchaburi. And then the other one, I can't remember the name of the beach, but it was north of Chumpon, about half an hour north of Chumpon, on the coast, of course. And it was feet in the sand, little cafes, guest houses on the beach. Very, very Thai. No foreigners I could see. There was no big bar scene or anything. It was just a really sleepy little coastal town. Excuse me. Cheers. But it was a delightful beach. And I was saying to myself, oh, gee, I could retire here, but it would be pretty quiet. But really, really nice. I took a few photos and I think I had them on the program last week. So, welcome to you from Char Arm, a very nice place in the world. Thomas John Robinson says, a friend of mine who uses an agent to get his visa extension was told by his agent last week he can't do it anymore. Typically Thai, he didn't inform him till it was too late. Yeah, some visa agents, their contacts at immigration have changed. This happens all the time. Visa agents, they basically pay for the pleasure of sort of short-circuiting the process between the foreigner and Thai immigration. Immigration love the visa agents because it means when they get all the documents put in front of them, they're all been completed. They're all ready to go. And I use a visa agent because it just makes my life easier. And I have to pay for the pleasure, but it means that everything gets done. It gets done on time. I don't have to worry about forgetting dates and stuff. But of course, you can do all your visa stuff yourself. We're not recommending visa agents as such, but if you just need to get over a few hurdles, if you're just under some qualifications, then the visa agents can oil the wheels, grease the wheels. I know a lot of people see that as corruption and it's illegal, but look, you're living in Thailand. This is just the way the system works. So the visa stamps you get in your passport are just as legal as people that have done it themselves and gone through all the processes. I'm not saying this is good or bad. It's just the way it is. My wife is Thai, says Frank and Rung's Thai, and I'm English, but we do have a lot of family ties. Thank you, Frank and Rung. I know Frank and Rung from somewhere. I mean, a lot of people contact me and I get photos from time to time, and I simply can't remember everybody. So if I don't specifically remember people that have contacted me, I apologize. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Good thing the vaccine saved us, says John. Here we go. Hans says, Yaba, question mark. This is referring to the Italian man. Yes, they've confirmed that he was on... no, not Yaba. Oh, that's methamphetamine. Ice, which is crystal methamphetamine, I think is what he's tested positive for. And Bill Ellis, people are always putting crystal meth in my beverages, says Bill. Behave yourself, everybody. Thomas John Robinson. Mikey, like Thailand, I got my Thai international driver's license very easily. All they wanted was to see my current Thai license and a letter from immigration confirming my address. So yeah, it's that easy to get an international driver's license. Strangely, when I went to Australia, I had to get, because I had a Thai driving license. I don't have an Australian driving license anymore. It's passed. So I had to get an international driver's permit to go and drive in my home country. It's the way things are these days. Teresa says the Italian couldn't have been marijuana. He need the fridge for his munchies. Okay. Fun-sized media. I brought COVID back with me from Thailand, coughing all the way home. Would have been quarantined for 2 weeks before. Now no one cares. Well, I think people do care, and it still can be a very dangerous disease for some people. And currently in Thailand, there are a few hundred people dying. I was going to say each week, but I think maybe it could have been up to 100 people over the last month. They've had somewhat of a surge here in Thailand. I might have had those numbers completely wrong, but I sort of went, whoa, when I saw the number of cases and the number of deaths during April, which was just recently reported. So it still can be quite a dangerous virus, and it's one of those viruses that's now out there and something that we're just going to have to contend with all the time. And some people are just going to have to be annually vaccinated. It's probably going to end up in one of those multi-flu vaccine type things. I get a flu vaccine every year. I haven't had the flu, touch wood, for about 25 years. Horrid disease in itself. And COVID-19, I don't wish on anybody. Some people it doesn't affect, but a lot of people it affects quite badly. What kind of turnout is expected for the Thai elections? Says Blue Trekker. Oh, they'll get a great turnout. There's a lot of talk about it. The actual election officially starts today, the voting, because people who have pre-registered for remote voting, they can vote from today. And that's why there is an alcohol ban in Thailand today from 6 p.m. tonight, Saturday, until 6 p.m. tomorrow, Sunday. There's an alcohol ban. Hello, Dina. Do you want to come and say hello? This is Dina the cat, and she has been hanging around for her munchies. You did get fed earlier, Dina. Nice to see you. Turns up twice a day for food. So yes, that alcohol ban, so probably the bars and the nightclubs will be closed tonight. Otherwise, they'll be serving legally lemonade. I'm not sure what happens in some of the party areas, whether there's some brown paper bags handed around so that they can remain open. Certainly you can probably get a drink from your favourite mum and pop shop, and you can always head down to a 7-Eleven before 6 p.m. and buy a few drinks. But after 6 p.m. you won't be able to buy alcohol for 24 hours in convenience stores. And the situation today will be again next week on the official voting day, which is next Sunday, May the 14th. And the same thing will happen next weekend from Saturday 6 p.m. till Sunday 6 p.m. There will be an alcohol ban in Thailand. As to why they do it, I don't know. That's just the situation. And as somebody rightfully pointed out, you can tonight after 6 p.m. go into the local cannabis shop and buy a bit of stock. And if you're discreet and do it in your own privacy, you can have a smoke. But you can't buy alcohol after 6 p.m. tonight. So hopefully Blues Tracker, that might give you a bit of an answer. It is a big, they're expecting a big turnout for the election because I think there is a bit of a landslide on the way. Now, depends what you call a landslide. Of course, the main opposition party, Pattaya, they would like a landslide which ends up of 50% of the lower house, which will be 250 seats. Wow. Now, any party that can get 250 seats has got, certainly a strong mandate. Here in Thailand, because there's so many small parties, it's very hard to get that full mandate. But if you put the votes for Pattaya together with Move Forward, you'll easily have, I predict, 50% of the vote +1 and a whole lot more. But it's going to be interesting to see. It's not so much the election I'm interested in. I think it's fairly clear what's going to happen there. It's what happens after the election and how the government is put together, and any shenanigans that may take place with the old military. Although, as I've said before, the army chief, the new army chief, has said 3 times on the record now that there won't be another coup. You've got so many more younger voters since 2014, the last coup, and they're just not going to be putting up with this sort of acts in the future. And they're willing to get out and protest. And I just don't think the military believe that anymore, that the Thai people are just going to go, oh, it's another coup, okay. I think this younger crowd, better educated than their parents, are just not going to put up with any more coups in Thailand. I think it would cause a lot of civil unrest and probably lead to some sort of violence. So I've got a funny feeling that the Thai people, and maybe even the army, are just thinking, I think we've just got to let this next parliament run. How the Senate vote, because they've got 250 votes when it comes to deciding on a Prime Minister. There'll be a joint sitting of both the upper and the lower house. And how they decide they're going to vote is also very important. Now, by the way, just catching up with some of these very, very kind donations. I'm just trying to... JS in Melbourne, Australian, $5. Thank you very much. And also Eric, I didn't forget you. I just was yakking and talking. So it's he says, it's been cool to watch this channel grow and enjoy your style of journalism, says Eric Felix. And thank you very much for your very kind donation as well, Eric. I don't call myself a journalist. Obviously, I feed off the work of other journalists who I acknowledge, and it's important to acknowledge their intellectual property and their work. I like to try and share the stories that I think are important to you, and I also like to analyse my perspective, because sometimes the stories are sort of written in code. I like to decode those stories, also go in depth, and sometimes just call out the utter bullshit that is written from time to time. So I suppose I'm more of a commentator than a journalist. I don't like to be called a journalist. I've never studied journalism, although I've done a lot of news reading, mostly on radio in my time. And these days, sitting in front of a camera, which is very new to me. I'm not particularly comfortable doing it, but this is where we are. But Eric, thank you very much for your kind comments. Let's go on with some other comments. I'm trying to get through all of them if I can, and I've got a few other news stories as well. Visa agents can get things done when you need it, says Norman Brown. You're exactly right. Was the beach Bangkrut? We were there recently. Alan, I can't remember the name of the beach. If I had 5 minutes, I'd find it, but I don't have Nick here, by the way. Nick's in China today. So he was in Seoul last week. He's in China now. It might be North Korea next week. I don't know. But yeah, Nick's in China doing shopping and stuff for he and his father's businesses. Good rainy morning from down the road in Cut 2. Rain? Well, I'm not too far from Cut 2, Craig, and there's no rain here, let me tell you. Bright and sunshine, but there will be a few showers. We're now getting into the rainy season. Tim, is your old folks' home long-term or short-term rentals? Are you talking about this place? This is a lovely old house. It's probably built about 30 years ago, and it's built as, well, I was going to say like a brick shithouse, but that wouldn't be nice. It's built very, very strongly. It's one of those concrete houses, concrete slabs, and they're very, very solid. Long-term, well, I've got this as a long-term rental. It's basically still month to month, but I can stay here as long as I like, it seems. I get on fine with the landlady, who lives just across the road. And my mango trees have been sprouting mangoes for the past 3 or 4 weeks, so of course I drop in plenty of mangoes to her, keep the landlady happy. But if we start this resort sometime soon, which is sort of plodding along, then of course I'll probably move up there instead. Or I might stay here. I haven't decided yet. Tim, ever had dengue? Alpha Bravo, not that I know of. Now, plenty of people around here have had dengue. I don't believe so, but like, say, with COVID-19, you can get it and not really show very severe symptoms for some people. So, look, I may have had it, and heavens knows I've been bitten by thousands of mosquitoes, but not knowingly, and certainly if I had dengue, it wasn't serious. But some people can have dengue, and it can really be a very bad case. There are 5 different dengues, Alpha Bravo. Hey, Timmy, says Paul A. Timmy, I don't sort of respond terribly well to that. My mother used to call me Timothy when I did something wrong. Tim's just fine with me. Never take aspirin or ibuprofen when you have dengue, says Alpha Bravo. Well, I'm not really here to comment about medical matters, but thank you for your advice. If you do have dengue, I probably recommend that you take your advice from... I'll just move this over a bit. I seem to be off centre. You should be taking advice from your medical professional. Was once says, I had COVID from my Thai partner's trip to Laos. Had 5 vaccines. It was not fun. Spent 7 days in bed, unable to do anything. Hello, Tim. Says Anna from California. Hi, California. And hopefully it's nice and warm there. There are 4 strains of dengue fever, says... right, thank you, Michael, for clarifying that. Heat exhaustion and COVID was a little bit scary. Shivering in bed, but I survived, says Fun-Sized Media. JSO, wow, Wayne Baston. Wayne, you're being overly generous. Thank you very, very much. Has a comment, and Wayne says, enjoy watching the show each Saturday. Today is the first time I've watched while in Thailand. Thanks for the channel. Where are you, Wayne? I'm here in Phuket, down in the south of Thailand. Well, sort of not quite the south, the mid-south, I suppose you'd call it. If you go directly east from here, you would hit Nakhon Si Thammarat and Krabi provinces. If you go west from here, you'd end up in the Andaman Sea. Ace Diamond says, I could be wrong, but I thought international driver's license are good for 5 years. Ace, you could be right. I can't remember. Maybe you can pay for a 1 year or a 5 year. Maybe there's a difference in price. The 5 year thing might be right. Here comes another one of the cats, Kato, coming down the stairs, trying to avoid the vacuum cleaner upstairs. I thought Old Folks Home was referring to your new resort. And when do you plan to officially open your new resort? Well, it's probably not going to be an old folks home. Initially, it's just going to be open to anybody. I think over the years we'll refine it and decide who are the people that like coming to it and respond to, any changes in the market. But I don't think a niche market is something that I want to do up front. I think we'll just open it to everybody and see how it goes. Aiming to have it open by the end of the year. In the West, you'd probably have a list of all the things you need to do. You'd have some dates, you'd have some goals, and you'd have all those things sort of lined up, all your ducks in order. Here in Thailand, things just work differently. So I've got a list of things I need to do, and some of them I've done, and some of them are still in the process of being done. I mean, I got the pale blue Mercedes already, the thing that will pick up guests from the airport in. The lease is still being negotiated, but the owners of the property are already making some changes to the property that need to be done before we move in. So everything's sort of plodding forward, but I'm not putting any dates on things. I'm just allowing things to happen when they happen. And all that noise you can hear, clack, clack, bang, bang, crash, that's the cleaner making all the noise. I think she's enjoying making the noise. So, look, I intend to have it open by the end of the year. But October, that's just in my mind. But I just don't know if I'm going to keep to those dates. And I'm not going to get stressed if things go slowly. But we will plod on in true Thai style, and we'll keep getting things done. And I'm just going to gently push forward with the project, and when it's ready, it'll be ready. Wake up to the sound of rain at D Condo, says Craig. I think there was a few showers overnight, and look, we are entering the wet season. There's no doubt. We've had some rain during the week. We've had a few early evening downpours in the middle of the week, and that will start to happen around Thailand, and that's what happens every year, usually, routinely, on the dot, about 2 weeks after Songkran each year. Tim, how's the pollution in Thailand recently? Much improved. Rashed KWT, much improved. Here in Phuket, we're back in the green all week, and further up north, it's been much improved. Now, it's not only the burning season that finishes, but it coincides with a change to the southwest monsoon as the winds start going around. So a whole lot of things work in the favour of improving the air pollution problem this time of the year. David Hodgson says, good morning, Tim, from a hot and sunny Sakon Nakhon. And hopefully it's a great day up there. Tell us, if you can, David, what the air pollution situation is up there so we can get a bit of an idea. Is your cleaner a legal immigrant or local Thai? Says William Hartz. She's Thai. She's a lovely lady. In fact, I think I'll try and get her to work in the new resort because she's resourceful, she's quick, she's clever, doesn't speak a word of English, but she's a lovely lady. I just got my international driver's license, and it's 1 year only in America. So, okay, Anna, so this is one issued in America. I've got a funny feeling that you might be able to buy a 1 year or a 5 year, and there's a price difference. But thank you, Anna, for that update. Good morning, Tim. Love your channel. Listen in Brisbane. Currently watching you. Lamia, loving it. Says Kay. Hi, Kay in Brisbane. That's a nice part of the world too. Visited Brisbane many times over the years. Let's go to a couple more stories and just catch up on things. Phuket Go reporting that the May full moon party was in full swing on Koh Phangan. Koh Phangan, one of the three major islands, little island group in the Gulf of Thailand, Koh Samui, Koh Tao and Koh Phangan. Koh Phangan famous or infamous for the full moon party, and the story says that last night, that's Thursday night this week, approximately 20,000 tourists attended the famous or infamous full moon party on Koh Phangan, which is expected to put tens of millions of baht into the pockets of locals on the southern island. And it had a couple of good lines in it. Talks about the Suratani governor and senior police officers were present at the event to oversee the deployment of security measures. Although we imagine they were back in bed with a cup of Ovaltine by 10 p.m. And the police police commissioner of the local tourist police stated that security measures were in place to increase visitor confidence and prevent the presence of illegal drugs at the venue. A measure that may or may not have been entirely successful. This well-intentioned measure comes after concerns over alleged drug use and the safety of partygoers at previous events. So a bit of tongue-in-cheek on that particular article, but a bit of a deadly serious follow-up to that story. And this is reported by The Tiger. Fun-loving UK teenager dies after taking drugs at full moon party at Thailand, inquest reveals. This is an incident that happened last year, and a fun-loving, fiercely independent teenager from the United Kingdom died after taking drugs at a full moon party in Thailand. An inquest heard. A UK coroner yesterday determined that the 18-year-old woman from Winchester died by misadventure after taking ecstasy whilst backpacking in Thailand, and she was found dead in her bed in the Koh Phangan district February 19 last year. The 18-year-old had... Is it 19? Oh, February the 19th. The 18-year-old had attended the full moon party on February the 17th. The inquest heard that she had taken an ecstasy tablet, also known as MDMA. Look, I could sort of issue the usual warnings about taking illicit drugs, but at the end of the day, you are responsible for what you put in your mouth. Very sad, though, to report that she died probably as a result of something she picked up at the full moon party last year. That reported in the Tiger. And her father said, Eleanor's father, told the inquest that his daughter had spent about 2.5 months travelling in Europe before moving on to Thailand. She was living her dream. She was fiercely independent. So that story reported in thetiger.com. Just going back to your comments, I think I've got another story to report. I do have a bit of an update on the cyanide am story. So let's go to your comments again. And I've got my international driver's license. Okay. Kay Watkins, good morning, Tim. Love you. Oh, so I've said hello to Kay. Nimble Jack, rain in Geelong too. So, yes, the thing is, Phuket, quite a large island. I don't know, 70 kilometres from top to bottom? Oh, I've probably got that wrong. Mate, it's either 40 or 70 kilometres anyway, north to south. Bit of a sort of long, thin island. And it can be pouring with rain at one end and bright sunshine at the other. It's just what happens. These storm cells are quite small. They're very localised. It can literally be raining a couple of streets away and bright and sunny where you are. 500 to 700 baht per night. I'm in, says Wayne Sitarts. It's going to be a lot more than that. I'm sorry, it's pretty much a 5-star luxury resort. Yes, it's not a 500, 700 baht per night sort of place. More details as we get closer, but these are not little rooms. These are huge apartments. They're about 100, 150 square metre apartments, living rooms, big TVs, furniture, and nicely decked out as well. So I'm sorry, not going to be able to do the 500 to 700 baht per night. That Merc of yours says Spitz Energy. Spiz Energy. That Merc of yours is when Mercedes were building proper motors. It's a gem. Well, yes, it's a 1980 Mercedes, but it's got a modern Toyota 6-cylinder engine in it, as has a lot of the older Mercedes here in Thailand. There must have been some, and I've said this before, some enterprising Thais that got together and decided that they were able to keep these Mercedes going a lot longer if they put like much more accessible motors in them. So, I mean, I can take this to any service place, including a Toyota garage, to get the motor checked out. I mean, it ran perfectly all the way back to Phuket. Not a single problem with the engine at all. And it will be less expensive to service it in the future than if it was a real Mercedes engine. And Frank and Rung's family ties. Rung asks, how many hours a day do you sleep, and do you dream you are an animal? Because my English husband was a rabbit in his dream. How many hours a day do you sleep? I've never been a good sleeper. I'm trying to improve my sleep habits. I'm part of being a good sleeper is sleeping at the same time every day. Having a lot of discipline and having a routine. As you get older, I think sleep is increasingly important. Not only the hours of sleep, but the quality of sleep. And because in Thailand it can be quite warm, and because I don't really like using the air conditioner, I use the fan. I'm probably sleeping in a room that is maybe warmer than is ideal for good sleep, but I do sleep fairly well. And I'm going through a bit of a good phase at the moment. I don't take any medication or anything. The only thing I might take is if I've got a bit of a headache, I might take the odd paracetamol, but that's it. I try and sleep between 6 and 7 hours a night. That usually is about as good as I'm going to get. And I've never been a good sleeper. My parents used to sort of worry about my bad sleeping. It just in my DNA, I just don't seem to need as much sleep as other people. But it is increasingly important as you get older to make sure you do get enough sleep. And I'm doing my best to try and make sure I get some. But yeah, 6 to 7 hours is pretty good for me. My international driver's permit, says Ron D, is good for 1 year. No 5-year option is available. Prices vary from country to country. That's correct. And just moving down a little bit better. Thank you, says David. Okay. People talking to each other in the comments section, and that's fine too. Ace Diamond says, well, I'm on a retirement visa, which is an O or an OA visa. Retirement visas, or the geezer visa, is just the nickname. And if you have the patience and knowledge to fill out all the paperwork on your own, your fee is like 2,000 or 3,000 baht. If you want an agent, it'll cost you 15,000. Well, yes, it's obviously you can do all the work yourself. If you want to renew your visa, absolutely no problem at all. And the cost of 15,000 at the moment, it's a bit more expensive than that. I think the prices will start coming down a bit, but I've heard some agents quoting over 25,000 baht at the moment for getting a renewal on an O or an OA visa. So be aware that the costs of some of the visa agent services have gone up recently, and you are still well entitled to do those renewals yourself. And just be aware that, as I've said, it's more of a heads up than a warning, but just be aware that they are crossing the T's and dotting the I's, checking the details, maybe checking a bit more paperwork and checking a bit more deeply than they have in the past. Norman says 2 to 3 deaths every month for different reasons. Pinball, yes, Chief. Pinball machines. They were the machines that they used to have next door in the bikie gang next to where I used to live in a warehouse in Yarraville. Qantas, says Ian McNamee. Alan Joyce is leaving in November. He's waiting around before taking off. Okay, so I think Qantas has become a bit of an unpopular airline in Australia. It used to be well loved. We used to love the Flying Kangaroo, and it was always a preference for Australians as they headed overseas to take the Flying Kangaroo on the red tail. These days there seems to be a bit of a lot more hate directed towards the national airline and indeed the current CEO, Alan Joyce. But apparently, according to Ian, he's leaving in November. Is that an official announcement? Or is that a hope? Interesting anyway. He's been there for quite a while. Super G says, international driver's permit 1949 is the one required for Thailand. Is that the document number? 1949, or the cost? Hans asks the question, does the Mercedes car have a Mercedes or a Toyota transmission? It's got a Toyota transmission, three-speed gearbox. And it doesn't quite fit into the sort of the pretty part, which includes the handle next to the driver's seat. I'm actually getting some of that replaced so it actually fits a little bit better, and maybe an original timber gear stick, but it's an automatic 3-speed, but the gearbox is a Toyota transmission. Wayne Sitat says, Thai speaking partner gets my non-O visa done for a few thousand baht. Yeah, look, if you've got a Thai partner, it is certainly a little bit easier to get things done here in Thailand, there's no doubt. But thank you for that information, Wayne. Does the Mercedes? Tim, 48 kilometres. Phuket, thank you. Anna from north to south. I knew it was, not sure I got my 70 from. But yeah, it's about, 48 kilometres from the top to the bottom of Phuket. I think in size it's roughly the same or similar size to Singapore. More comments and questions coming. Frank and Rung. Question, we would love the pros and cons of retiring to Thailand or Laos. It could be a good program to work on retiring to Southeast Asia and the options available. Yeah, who would I get in to talk about that? I'd have to get somebody from Laos and the Philippines and Vietnam. Vietnam's hard because there are no long-term or like retirement type visas in Vietnam. And we're talking about the lifestyle. The lifestyle in many of these Southeast Asian countries can be quite similar. You got the hot, humid climates, and the sort of the food is similar. I'm not comparing Thai food to Vietnamese food or Philippine food necessarily, but I mean the type of food you have in Southeast Asia is roughly similar around, and you can get the different types and variations of the food in different parts of Southeast Asia. It might be something I'll have to get an expert to discuss. Laos, I think, is also difficult to get some sort of long-term visa. Philippines seems to have a lot of people who love the Philippines. I'm sure there's some of the people watching today from the Philippines. But I always say to people who say, oh, I'm sick of Thai immigration and I'm sick of this and I'm sick of that in Thailand, so I'm going to go and live in the Philippines or Laos or Vietnam or Malaysia, and that's fine. But all I can say is those places are not Thailand, and the things that I like in Thailand I can't find in these other countries. I might be able to find the same sort of weather, but I mean I do particularly like Thai food. There is something about the Thai people that I find, it's subtle, but I really like it and appreciate it. Yes, there are 1,000 little annoyances, but the big picture things in Thailand, like the availability of different visas, some of them cheaper than others, some of them much more expensive, but there is quite a lot of ways that you can stay long term in Thailand. A lot more options than a lot of other Southeast Asian countries. But yes, you do have to qualify. And for those people that can't qualify and can get easier qualifications in other countries, or they say they can do visa runs, well, that's great. If that suits you, I want to stay here long term and I want to do it legally. And the options here in Thailand are such that I can do that. Of course, the weather, the food's great, the lifestyle's great, the opportunities of places to live for foreigners are, well, numerous. Now you can stay in the sort of the tourist ghettos of places like Pattaya and parts of Phuket, but I'm living on the opposite island, the opposite side of Phuket Island to where all the tourists are, and I haven't been to Patong for 3 years. I think the last time I was there, I was reporting on COVID-19. That's probably I was there a year ago. I just can't remember. But yeah, I don't sort of hang around the tourist areas. I don't live in those tourist areas because they're expensive. But where I live, it's much, much cheaper. I paid 20,000 baht for a large 5-bedroom house. I've got a huge garden around me. It's a quiet, gated suburb. I'm about 100 metres from Tep Kasat 3 Road, which is the main north-south drive in Phuket. So I mean, I'm half an hour from Patong, I'm half an hour from Chalong, I'm half an hour from the airport. So it suits me, and it's no more expensive here than it is in, we'll say, the outer suburbs of Bangkok. But if you want to stay in these tourist areas, if you want to stay in the middle of Pattaya or you want to stay in Patong Beach in Phuket, it's got to be more expensive because those places are geared for tourists. I think I've got off the track. The answer, Frank and Rung, is I think I would like to do a full program about Southeast Asia immigration. It's a great topic, and I've just got to find the right person to provide that particular information. Blues Trekker, you've worked in traditional media corporations and now as an independent. Here in the US, the legacy media is melting down. What's your outlook for small media resources? Blues Trekker, look, that's a really interesting question. I mean, the future of journalism. There are so many threats to the future of journalism, including a general mistrust of the media. A lot of that mistrust has not been fairly placed on them. A lot of it's been shit stirring. Well, from a few particular politicians and one particular political party, but it has spread really around other parts of the world now. I think most media do their best to report fairly, but anybody can now start a media organisation and they can sprout all sorts of nonsense, and there are plenty of news organisations that do that, and different countries have got their own government-owned media sources. and some of those aren't perhaps as truthful as others. So it's an interesting dynamic now that my feeling, though, that the legacy media, if they can remain strong and they can keep afloat and financially viable, will have some sort of comeback, because I think people want to know where to find honest, reliable news. And it's a difficult situation these days. And a lot of people question what I would describe as perfectly good media organisations. But the feeling is if they disagree with a news story, then they don't like the media organisation, because they're reporting something that they're uncomfortable with, or maybe puts their own political allegiances in a bad light. Then that's a bad media organisation. And that's a very juvenile, immature way to look at the world. But when you've got these media organisations who have been around for years, writing and printing stories, you can go in search of something that's going to put your political allegiance in a better light. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be honest. And we've seen in recent weeks one particular organisation who's had to cough up $787 million in a payout because they were egregiously incorrect, sprouting lies knowingly. And that organisation is going to have to face some more court cases coming up soon, and is in a great deal of existential threat, given the amount of money it's going to have to pay out. And I bet they're going to pay out on 3 or 4 upcoming cases, but it's going to take a year for some of those cases to come to court. So a very interesting situation where now some of these media organisations are fighting back against some of the larger media organisations, fighting back against people making allegations against them. So look, it's a very interesting time for media, and we're not. I think the changes we've seen over the last, say, 5 to 10 years, there's going to be, I think, a bit of a swing back to traditional media. Will some of these smaller outfits start to grow in stature? I noticed Vox, for example, which I used to hold in quite high esteem, looks like they're going to go bankrupt unless they can find a buyer. So some of these upstarts have some of them come and then they fade away. I mean, I thought Vox was very good. It was insightful. They had a really good choice of stories. It was well reported. It had sort of feeling of being very well researched and a little bit edgy, which is sort of what I like. But people will continue to vilify media sources if they don't report the news the way they want. And that's not the way that proper journalism works. Oh my God, have I gone off on a rant? I think I have. There we go. I can't even remember what we were talking about. KC says retirees who can't afford to live in the US look to the Philippines and similar developing countries. However, low costs of living come with a price. Well, that's right. Now, look, I wonder if I could probably afford to live in my home country, Australia, with any level of comfort or luxury. The answer I decided 10 years ago was probably not. Here in Thailand, I can live a much better quality of life than I could in my home country. But you need to, if you expect to live the really high life here in places like Thailand, and you're going to live in the tourist areas and go and drink in expensive bars and expensive beach restaurants, you're going to pay top dollar, and you better have deep pockets. But I eat Thai meals probably at least once a day, and that Thai meal might cost 60 to 100 baht, including a drink of soda, and that's good eating, and I enjoy doing that. I mean, last night I spent a lot more. I spent about 1,200 baht with a friend at an Italian restaurant. So I do that maybe once or twice a month, and I enjoy it when I do. But otherwise, I enjoy living like the Thais from time to time, riding my motorcycle around, and that costs very, very little. Make sure you put your helmet on. But a good comment, KC. If you're going to move to what you call developing countries, I wouldn't call Thailand a developing country. It's quite developed. It's just developed in a different way. not be to your standard, but I wouldn't call Thailand a developing country. It's got a quirky type of government, sort of works for the Thais. But, if you talk about stable governance, well, for the past decade or so, Thailand has had relatively stable governance. It may happen in a strange way to other people, but it's not as if we got the army marching around with guns every day here in Thailand, even when the coup happened back in 2014. Nobody died that we know of. Andreas Schneider talked to Ian McNamee. With a different type of party, won't there be a change in international stability perception? Okay, I'm not sure. I obviously missed some of the conversation there. Thank you, Tim, for your detailed analysis of the possibilities of retirement possibilities in Southeast Asia. Frank and Runga, look, I will try and provide some greater detail about, say, visa options in some of the neighbouring countries, because it's key if you're going to go and have a long-term stay or retirement in any of these countries. Having some sort of stable visa situation is key to it. And, as I've always said, having something to do is also very important. Norman, drug accidents, wandering into the jungle and drownings. Obviously thinking that's a good thing. Tim's thinking is balanced-minded. That's the most one can expect from a YouTuber. Thanks, Teddy. Look, I always try and be honest and balanced. I'll read the goods and the bads. I don't choose my stories to try and push a particular vein of thought. I'm not here to do that. I may occasionally comment. I may give a bit of a wink or a nod, but I'm not here pushing a particular political barrow. Bill Strott, this is the first time I've watched you whilst I'm in Thailand. Love the program and your commentary. I'm from MN, USA. Is that Minnesota? I'm just guessing. Married to a Thai wife from Royet province. Now, that's a nice part of the world. I think if it's not on the Mekong, it's very close to the Mekong. Mr. Bhutan Trumpsky. Oh, God. What sort of name is that? I've lost you anyway. And Patong is gross. I feel Bang Tao has grown over the past 10 years to be a new epicenter of tourism in Phuket. Interesting to say that. I think you've got those beach areas of, say, Surin Beach and Bang Tao Beach, both really nice beaches, and then you've got that Cheung Talay suburb behind it, which has got a lot of restaurants, businesses, places to live. So I think that has become a bit of a newer focus for a lot of foreigners. Patong is really designed for tourists. It's not a place that I'd be looking to live, even if you're just a raver and a party goer and just an all-out hippie that wants to have a great time. Look, I think Patong's going to wear off on you pretty quickly, and it's expensive. But if you want a bit of fun, Patong's great for a week, I've been told. Everything is going up. Balloons are going up, says Ian McNamee. Thank you very much. Frank and Rung, another question. Do multinationals rule the world, and will AI rule the world? Which is the greatest fear of Elon Musk, who has invested heavily in at least 2 AI projects. So I think his protestations are a bit hollow, to be honest. Going off Mr. Musk very quickly. Multinationals rule the world. Yeah, well, multinationals, the more they own, I suppose, the more they can control. AI, I think there's a lot of fear-mongering about AI. I think we've been fed a lot of Hollywood when it comes to AI. Things like Skynet and the Terminator taking over the nuclear missiles. We see all these Hollywood fantasies, which are usually nightmare scenarios of a dystopian future of computers taking over the world. The reality of that is at least a long way away. And at the moment, we're still in a situation we can turn them off. And I don't have a fear of AI. I'm trying to work around finding the best ways to use the latest artificial intelligence. It's a bit of an arms race between some of the bigger tech companies to develop the best AI at the moment. and find the best ways. I suppose it's up to us to find the best ways to use it. But I think we're a long, long way off, even in the worst case scenario of AI being some sort of existential threat to humanity, if ever. But look, it's a very interesting topic and it's developing very quickly, and it's something that I do try and watch a few podcasts each week about. But for the people who are saying that they're extremely worried about AI, I think they need to probably outline exactly what they're worried about, and rather than just saying, oh, it's going to end humanity, perhaps lay out how they see that happening, so that the people that are working on AI can sort of use that information and perhaps use their any alleged expertise to help them put in some sort of fail-safe systems so that AI doesn't get out of control. I mean, what do you mean by out of control? I mean, until AI is growing arms and can push buttons, I mean, okay, so it could probably hack into the internet and stuff, but I mean, it's not pushing the buttons, the nuclear buttons. It's still got to have power running into it. So until AI can find a way, even if it wants to, even if it becomes sentient, of finding its own power source, it's still going to involve humanity and humans still controlling the way the software is developed. I mean, it is very interesting, but I'm personally not worried about it. That's my thought, but I'm trying to learn more about it. I think the more you learn about the real current situation of AI, the less you tend to worry about it. That's just the way I see things. KC, if we didn't own our home outright, even with our pensions and social securities, we'd have to move outside the US. Yeah, KC, I think there's a lot of people in some, what you describe as developed countries, maybe let's say Western countries, who have got a fairly bleak future of retirement facing them. And I think that retirement in some of these, I'm talking, I suppose, mostly about Southeast Asian countries, less developed countries, may be a strong option. And the countries that make it easier for people are going to be the ones that benefit the most. I think Thailand generally, as I've said, has got quite a few options for retirees, but they're not going to accept the, I suppose, some people call the cheap Charlies. They do want to make sure that you've got some sort of minimum standards of income so that you can support yourself and you're not going to become a burden to their citizens. Hans Schellenberg, we built a house in Thailand, gives me a lot of comfort as the US self-destructs. Flipper says, Rolf, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Maybe the 60s TV show. Ian McNamee, KC, I own my dwelling outright. I'm 60 and I got it when property wasn't as expensive. Alpha Bravo is describing somewhere as the Switzerland of Asia. Not referring to the weather, I can assure you of that. Andreas says related to the Thai baht. Okay, so let's... I think Andreas talking about 1,900 for an international driver's permit. Okay, Andreas. Tim, what is your opinion on the impact of the change in government on the Thai baht? Will it get stronger with a new type of government? I don't know. The Thai baht is floated on the international market. I mean, a lot of people accuse the Thai government of gaming the Thai baht and twiddling the knobs. I don't believe that's the case personally. It's traded openly in the international market, and there's not much more the Thai government can do with changing the value of their currency as any other governments can do with their currencies. So there may be, if the opposition get a strong vote, I think there may be some initial hiccup in the value of the Thai baht, but all the public services and all the main things will just remain in Thailand. I don't think there's going to be change to visas or tourism or any of the main industries in Thailand, even with a new government. It shouldn't have a big effect. Gee, I mean, time almost to go. I'll do 3 more questions. Michael, any more updates on your new website, Tim? The one you knew nothing about. Okay, so if you go to timnewton.today, there's a website which has got all my videos from YouTube. It was brought to my attention yesterday when somebody said they tried to sign up to my website and they couldn't do it. And I wrote back saying, I don't have a website. What are you looking at? So I went to, they sent me a link and there it is. I think I can probably do it now. Let's do it. Bring up the website. Type in Tim. God, I hope I can do this. Tim Newton. Just talk amongst yourselves. timnewton.today. Let's see if it comes up. Oh, sorry. Why isn't that working? Oh, because I wrote Trim Newton today. Sorry, this is a bit hard to do on the run. I'll start again. T-I-M. I can't work the keyboard from here. Tim Newton. You're getting bored, aren't you? I can tell. timnewton.today. Let's see if this works. Here we go. I think we're going to find something. It's thinking. Come on, internet. Zing, zing. Here we go. So this is TNT, your lifestyle news. And they've even got a banner up there of 5-Star Marine. And if you click on that banner, it actually takes you to the 5-Star Marine website, which is great for 5-Star Marine, as it's just working itself out. But yeah, it takes you to the actual website. So if you scroll down, it's not really in any particular order. It's just a standard website template, but it's got all my YouTube videos. I like this particular section: beauty, entertainment, modeling. And well, at least they got that right. And so, yeah, it's just a standard template, latest articles. So it's a news template, and somebody has put together a website for timnewton.today. Now, I do have information about who registered the site. Nothing I can particularly report at the moment. I would be interested to know if you can find out anything. But for those people that have sent information about the probable owners of the site, it doesn't really make any sense to me. It seems that most of it was put together when I first started the website. Seems they got bored after a month or so, because all the YouTube videos all go back to sort of October last year. So it's a bit of a strange one, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. But if you want to, subscribe to it, you can't. And then there's a whole lot of stuff down here. Stay in touch, sign up, but it doesn't take you anywhere. It just takes you back to the home page. So that's a bit of a strange one. timnewton.today. So thanks for the question, Michael. We're tracking it down. At the moment, there doesn't appear to be anything, bad happening on it. They're not even monetizing it. I don't know why they did it. I'll probably at some stage maybe write to them and saying, thanks for making my website. Can you give me the keys and I'll bring it up to date? I don't have a website, by the way. I've just got this YouTube channel and a Facebook page, TNT. So, a bit of a strange one. So thank you, Michael, for the question, and thank you for your concern. I just don't know. AI, they can now sample your voice and make a program to talk very close to your natural speaking voice. This is from Was Once. Yeah, that's right. But they can't someone's going to have to still write those ideas. So look, there's all sorts of ways that AI is going to influence the future. There's going to be all sorts of things that people haven't even thought of that are problems in the future that are caused by AI. There are going to be whole industries built around the opportunities presented by AI. But as I say, I still don't see AI causing some sort of existential threat to humans at the moment. And that would, of course, be the biggest problem. Blues Trekker, Fabulous 103, hello Tommy, did an AI broadcast last week and then spilled the beans the next day. That's interesting. There is an AI radio station software now where the AI is able to find local news sources and read them, go to the local weather and read that, and of course play music on a particular playlist. So yes, you can have AI radio stations. Does it sound as good as a person sitting there behind the microphone just riffing to his listeners? Of course not. So again, are we going to be... There will be a lot of AI YouTube content. There'll be a lot of AI publications. But they're just simply, at the moment, not going to be anywhere near as good as what a human with an idea and skills can churn out at the moment. Okay, so a few more and then we've got to go. Guys, please hit the like button. Anna, you're so right. Thank you. Hit the like button. 370 people in the chat room. Yeah, look, if you could just do a little experiment for me, hit the like button. That would really be appreciated, like all of you. Well, hit the dislike button if you like. It's all engagement. But please hit that like button. And maybe just once over the next week. I mean, I've never asked for this before, but maybe share the program with somebody you think might be interested in finding out about Thai news. If you could do that, that would be really, really appreciated, because I don't usually ask much from my listeners, my viewers, but if you could maybe share a video over the next week to somebody you think might be interested in getting a daily dose of Thai news, that would be really, really appreciated and do more for my channel than anything else. Your website even has ads for 5-Star Marine. Khalid, that's right. And if you click the link, it takes you to 5-Star Marine. Sean from 5-Star Marine's also been following up on this. They didn't use his logo, interestingly, and they didn't even use my logo, but I mean, my logo is just a red, well, there it is. There's nothing particularly interesting about it. So, yeah, it's interesting to know why they've bothered. Really. I haven't lost any sleep about it yet. John, looking forward to tomorrow's Grumpy Old Men. Yes, we recorded it on Thursday, so Steve and me will be here tomorrow with another Grumpy Old Men. I don't really know where that program's going. I might replace Steve with AI in the future. Might be a lot easier to work with. I'll have a think about that. So excellent program again, Tim. Thanks, Gunnar Hopstead and Mr. Booten Trumsky. I think AI has made the website. I heard you talking about it. Yeah, maybe it has. I don't know. Thanks everybody for joining in. If you're here in Thailand, you're on the third day of your 4-day long weekend. If you're from overseas, it's just another Saturday. But I hope you have a great weekend ahead. It's been really a pleasure to be with you for the past hour, riffing about all sorts of stuff. Hopefully I brought you a bit of news, brought you up to date. We didn't even get to the am cyanide story, but I better change the thumbnail because I didn't even get to it. Thanks for watching. Have a great Saturday, and we'll see you soon. I'm going to turn the button off now. See you later. Bye-bye.